Euer Sprachrohr für elektronische Tanzmusik und Berliner Nachtleben. Was ihr gern hört, zu was ihr gern tanzt, was euch bewegt.
Hello and welcome back to the Better Listen podcast. This is Liz again, and I will be hosting this episode. I hope that despite all circumstances, you guys all had a good start into the new year. I am very pleased to announce my guest for this New Year's show that was recorded in December. With distance, I met up with no one other than Max, aka Cook Strummer. Originally from Brussels, we speak about his move to the German capital a couple years ago and what makes living here still so worthwhile. Max is producer, live act, DJ, multi-instrumentalist, and he's also the first vocalist I'm interviewing for this podcast. At the moment, he's releasing for very grounded Berlin labels such as Katermukke, GetPhysical, and Criminal Bassline. Dive into this episode with us, full of inspiration, motivation, and the stories behind his music. Find us talking about a rather unusual but so positive vibe during this pandemic and what it takes to have a happy life. Hi Max!
Hi!
So good to see you. Finally, it worked out.
Yes, finally. That's true. I broke my microphone pop, so
Did you?
That's the way I use it, even when I sing.
Oh, it looks very classy.
Looks like I have a lollipop.
Let us jump right into our podcast for today. Your music is very different from the styles that I have hosted in the past. And on the socials, it says that your music is threaded with obscure dreams, magical symbols, and modern myths. Maybe you want to give us a little bit more insights on how it all started with you and where you come from.
Sure. So originally I come from Belgium, from Brussels. And when I started the project Cook Strummer, it was back, 8 years ago.
Oh, wow.
When I moved to Berlin.
Mm-hmm.
And so I found the name Cook Strummer, and I started exploring and experimenting with music. And with the help of Constantin Didichem, a good friend of mine back then, we decided to create something that is not only related to music, but also to videos. So we started Cook Strummer with the first video, Fallen.
So he's a videographer?
He's a videographer, but sadly he passed away.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it was 6 years ago, and I think I never really realized what impact it had, because I had to move forward. Also, I was working hard for a startup back then, and it's always easier to just don't ask yourself too many questions and just go through it. If you want to listen to the origins of Cook Strummer, by the way, you can listen to the first EPs I've done 6-7 years ago. It's on my Bandcamp, and it's for free. You can download them for free. I will take them out very soon. So exclusive for your podcast listener.
Yeah, it's very different now. You've kind of doing your very own style, and I think your voice is also very unique. Can you name some influences that you have had? My
influences back then were more like Massive Attack, also a lot of cold wave like Joy Division, the Happy Mondays, Cocteau Twins. It was very like a rocky background with electronic hints.
You also play some instruments, right?
Yes, on the album I played almost everything.
Yourself?
Yeah, myself in a studio. I recorded it during 1 year at K61 Studios. So every weekend I was going there, or after work I was working a lot. It was a very dark time in my life, to be honest, because I remember I was working a lot for the startup I was working for back then. And after the working hours, so it was 8 to 10 hours a day, I was going to the studio.
Wow.
And then I was waking up, and it was again and again. And the weekends, I was every weekend in the clubs, like to dance and to party. So I had barely time to rest. That's why, like, the modern myths, modern mythology, I related a lot to the club scene. The darkness also, I feel I'm happy now that my music changed, that it's not so dark anymore.
Yeah, it's not at all.
To be honest, the description you made, it's not really accurate anymore, even though it's still in a transition. I consider it now more artistic, you know, the way I produce and the way I want to give. It's not like ready to eat, you know, like you need still to give a little bit of attention. But I managed to find less complicated way to digest my music, let's say, and also it's a lot more related to the club scene, like especially the Berlin club scene, even though I have a lot of influences from Barcelona where I spend a lot of time. But yeah, that's my current music right now.
You sing and you produce music and you play a lot of instruments, but you also write the lyrics, right?
Yes.
You write them yourselves.
Yes.
How do you come up with these?
I've always been writing. When I was a teenager, I was mainly writing in French. So I started writing songs, ballads in French. I'm really into poetry, but French poets. French poets, yes, like Arthur Rimbaud is my favorite French poet.
But your lyrics now are all English.
Yes, but circumstances made that I stayed in Berlin, that I speak mainly English now with my surroundings and also German. I speak less and less French. I think each artist has its persona and its mythology, but the mythology around Cook Strummer and the lyrics, if you pay attention from one song to another, there's a link. It's very spiritual. It talks a lot about the path of the souls, you know, what is good, what is bad. Back then when it was very dark, I realized now a long time after that it had to do with what I had to go through. It means probably depression, even though I don't know, but it was linked definitely to the loss of my friend, you know, who was part of the project, and I always refused to think about it. And also, related to other topics as well.
Can you name one song that is like the most important for you right now that we also have in this collection?
You mean from the podcast? For this podcast? A song that we were going to play today? Let Go. It's quite good.
Why?
Because Let Go is the first time that I produce a song from A to Z. I also engineered it, so I mixed and mastered it. Means like EQing, compressing. I had to learn all those things, and the result you're gonna hear is actually only me. Yeah, which is cool.
Really amazing. You sent it to me earlier, and I've actually been listening to it on repeat because I enjoy it so much, and I think your voice is so special there. I really, really like it. And I told you, like, the first time I heard it, I had goosebumps. So, let us jump right into this track. It's called Let Go by Cook Strummer that will be released on GetPhysical.
Yes.
Have fun.
Dust all over my eyes, so cold. Never see when the sun goes down. It's like we're blinded at yours. Diving inside of me, I guess we too cool. I guess it's so good with you by my side. We love lights, we live it all. It's all so pure inside of you.
Given the current situation right now and knowing that you spend most of your weekends traveling, playing gigs, I would really like to know, Max, how are you? How are you doing? How do you keep yourself busy these days? And how is life treating you at the moment?
Yeah, I must admit I don't have any reason to complain. Like pretty much the opposite,
really?
to be honest. Yes,
Oh.
it took me years to do what I love in life. And my biggest release, Rising, when it happened, it was the first day of lockdown. So it was March 13th. Friday, March 13th, 2020.
The big date.
It was supposed to be my biggest release ever, my first release on GetPhysical, and I had a release party planned. Everything was organized, and then this, then the lockdown. I mean, it was supposed to be the best year of everyone when I listened to most of the people.
I agree. Yeah.
And to be honest, I decided that it's going to be my best year no matter what. You know, and it is.
Do you miss going out on the weekends though, like, and playing on the weekends?
Yes, of course. Yeah. Yes. I mean,
it's a different situation.
It's a different situation. Yeah. I'm going to tell you something. I wake up and it's the first time in my life I'm really happy.
Really?
I'm like, every day I feel like it's a blessing. I'm thankful for everything I have, even if it's not much. And I'm happy to be able to spend time alone. I finally learned to love myself and to respect myself. Because I used to think too much and put me very down, believe it or not, for a very long time. But I've learned to appreciate myself by giving to other people and empowering my people around. And this is this is a great strength, because now when you give something to someone, you never lose, honestly. But of course you can be disappointed if you choose the wrong people, but that's also learning about yourself and how to choose the right people.
You mentioned earlier that you released Rising, and maybe the title is very metaphorical for you as a person, I can imagine. So I would really like to give it a listen now. Max, do you want to introduce the song to this podcast?
Okay, so now we're gonna listen Rising, the remix of Daniel Jäger, that is coming very, very soon on GetPhysical. The original Rising is already out since March 13th, beginning of pandemic Corona. That's it. Have fun.
Do you remember your own star burning? Do you remember that was us beside it? Do you remember all the our own reflection in the sun? I do remember the rain.
You work for Native Instruments, and you also are making a living off your music. Maybe you can give us a little bit more insight in like how a normal week for you or a normal day looks like.
During the week, I wake up around 8-9 in the morning. I do some sport. I make 1 liter of coffee. I know it's a lot, but I find it super nice. And then I can start like full of energy. Usually I listen to music before start to work.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I listen to demos that friends of mine send me.
Oh, really?
Or
nice.
I am on InFlight. So InFlight is like a promotion platform, so you can get audio demos from labels before they get released. So, and it takes a lot of time to find what you like, and then you are among the first DJs to play those tracks.
Interesting. Okay. Then your normal day job starts, right, at Native Instruments?
Yeah, exactly. I usually start around 9 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes earlier, sometimes later. Depends if I have to work in the evening, which happens regularly when I work with partners located in the US, for example. Classical corporate life, but quite exciting. I mean, it's music oriented. People are passionate about what they do. So from 9 to 6, I talk with people who have the same passion and the same drive, which is amazing. And then we talk about how we could potentially brand new products, what kind of image we're gonna give to those products. I work a lot lately on the expansions. So, for example, for those who are familiar with Native Instruments, it's like expansion packs that include presets and samples that are already processed, and then you can use those expansions with Machina.
Nice.
So it's fascinating. Every day I try the products actually because I need to get familiar. And then usually after I go to either I work on my productions, so in my home studio, or I work a lot with Daniel Jäger. So I often go to his studio and we work together. But all in all, I try to focus on my music after 6. And I do it every day.
You mentioned Daniel Jäger. You guys do a lot of work together. And the next track that I would like to introduce for this podcast, it's called Just Shine, is a collaboration with him. Tell us about your connection and how did you guys meet?
I mean, for those who are familiar with the Berlin scene, he's one of those rising young artists, very talented. He's part of this new generation. And he already played Burning Man and many big events. To be honest, when I got to know him, it was like 3 years ago. I'm a big fan of Bordel des Arts. It's a famous
It's a great event.
Underground party in Berlin.
Yeah.
A lot of freaks there. I'm a freak as well, so I could feel at home and get crazy there. Like many people in Berlin. I mean, it's the Thursday party. You know, I really miss it because it's like once a month, but you have
it's packed and full of
packed, and it's you have this real honest vibe and the lineups, the residents, you know, it's like there's a culture around this event that I love. And I got to know Daniel Jäger. I used to be a fanboy, you know.
Really?
I used to go almost every Thursday of the month when he was playing Bordel. I used to go there, and he plays always at 10 in the morning. But you have to imagine that I had a regular job, so I was missing the beginning of the day.
Oh my goodness!
To see Daniel Jäger playing, and I arrived and I was like, "Fuck! This is new. This is fresh." I was front row dancing the shit out of it.
Super cool.
Yes. But then every time I was talking with him, and he was kind of scared because I was like, "Man, this is amazing. You're like the new Beatles and shit." And then he was like, he was not answering, you know. He was like, yeah, thank you. And then he was leaving as soon as possible. I mean, I understand. I must have looked scary, you know. I was probably not sleeping, very white, with red eyes and smelling like whiskey. So of course, like, I guess he was a bit scared. But then over time, we started to be friends on mutual respect, you know, for what we do as musicians, you know, which is for me the most beautiful relationship, because music is very, it plays the sensitive string for the beginning. To my point of view, a good musician cannot cheat. It's not possible. I feel really happy that I can consider him as a friend now, and that we count on each other to grow together, at least for different projects we have together. And Just Shine is our first official collaboration. He came to me and I felt so happy when he told me, "Look, I have this track, it's going to be released on Katermukke. It misses something, please sing on it." And
cool.
I think I'm the first vocalist he worked with. So
really?
I felt really honored about that. And I think to date, I mean, it happened during Corona, unfortunately, and it's a club track, but I think this track is evergreen, and it's always going to be playable after Corona and even in the years to come. Yeah.
Let us have a listen to Just Shine, a collaboration between Cook Strummer and Daniel Jäger on the EP Shining One on Katermukke from June 2020.
Stand to me, silence. Oh, you see.
person related to Bordel des Arts is Sam Shore. Sam has seen me playing in a bar called Lucia.
Oh, I love that bar in Kreuzberg.
Yeah, it's a very important bar to me. That played a big role in my life, actually. I think I used to go there 10 years ago. So before living in Berlin, yes. Okay. It's one of those places that stayed there. Also, I mean, the walls, everything, and the vibe, it has something magical in there. I heard legends about like David Bowie being there, and
really? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. But I mean, it was not called Lucia, but they kept the walls, and you can feel it's part of the places. You don't know why it's there. It's always going to be working somehow because it has this magnetism somehow.
I love this place. Yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. And you guys met there? Yeah,
I gave one of my first live show in a bar. I did with guitar and singing. Yeah, few tracks from my first album, and Sam came after the show. He told me, "Hey, I must say, it's been a long time. I haven't felt like something like from a live set, and I felt really honored." I don't remember his word exactly, but I remember that this situation, and when we talked, it felt very honest. And when talking about honesty between musicians and producers, this is something, when it happens, you feel
it. Yeah.
You feel it doesn't matter how big you are, how, you know, like if you feel like someone's music and you talk with this feeling, it's like a immediate bound. And and then a few months after, so we tried a studio session. Then he said, "Hey, do you want to collaborate on my coming album on Still Vos Talent?" Yeah,
amazing.
I started singing in English, and I remember I was like, "Wait, I can sing in English like I'm tempted to do now. It's more international, but I can sing in French, and I have a really good idea right now about this track. I'm gonna write it like a poem." So Je te vois as lyric I'm really proud of, because it's like getting back to my origins, within poetry. And Rimbaud, it sounds really like a Rimbaud Verlaine poem.
This is Cook Strummer and Sam Shore with Je te vois on Still Vos Talent from September 2019.
Certaines choses peuvent se voir le soir. Centaines d'autres sont difficiles à croire.
One day my mother called me, and she told me, apparently now you're doing well. I was like, why are you saying that? And then then she was like, apparently now people know you, like, for your music thing. And something you have to know is that my parents, they are very creative. They are artists, both of them. My mom is a dancer. Used to be a dancer. My dad worked in cinema, music, and all my family, they are musicians, you know. But they don't know what is modern electronic music, you know. My mom, she loves to go dance in Sisyphus with me, or Kit Kat,
really?
You know. Yeah. We went out a lot together.
That's funny.
She says all the time, like, "Oh my God, I really want to go back to Berlin so we can go to club together."
That is amazing.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah.
And Mom, if you listen to this podcast, I love you. I love you so much, and I miss the night out with you. We used to go during the day together.
Really?
And then go to the restaurant, and then go to sleep at 10 in the evening.
That's awesome, though. Yeah. But she called you and recognized
she called me,
your
and
work.
it's the first time I think my parents understood that something was happening, because my uncle called them, and my uncle, you need something about my uncle. He used to be a DJ in the 90s. I think he played at Fuse, which is a very worldwide renowned club. I think so.
In Brussels.
But yeah, in Brussels. But all in all, he has a massive vinyl collection and he knows about electronic music. My uncle said my parents, now your son is famous because Jan Poli made a remix of him, and in his head, so Jan Poli remixed Daft Punk back in the days, and my uncle offered me actually part of his collection, vinyl collection. He highlighted one of Daft Punk's vinyl with with a Jan Poli's remix, on it. Yeah, most important, I think it's the first time, because they know how hard I fought for getting somewhere in music. It was very frustrating. They've seen me crying a lot, also in Belgium. I mean, it changed a lot now, and you can hear in my music. But more important, my mom called me, and I think it's the first time I felt like I had tears of bliss. Really, I felt so happy. I went outside. I love to go outside once it happens, and I just have a fast walk, and no music, nothing, and then I just look at the sky, and I know it sounds super cheesy, but I love to do that, and I have more and more of those moments right now. Actually, with all the releases, awesome. And so that's why I say I cannot complain. And it's simple things, really. It's not related to. I mean, success for me is very relative, but when I have situations like this that is strongly engraved in my memory,
of course,
I can recall them every time I need them, and this is the situation I'm in now. And this track, so this remix of Run by Jan Poli, is the symbol of my current notion of success right now in life.
Then let us have a listen to it right away. This is Run by Cook Strummer and Foreign Guest in the Jan Poli remix from April 2020. To tell us that you're really looking forward to in the coming year? What's in store for us for 2021?
I've been overproductive, I think, during Corona, as mentioned before, but also career-wise. I have the equivalent of 2 albums coming.
Wow. Okay.
I cannot tell more, and I think many people have been productive as well. I think there's going to be so much music out there in the next months.
I have the same feeling.
So this is coming. A lot is coming on GetPhysical, Mood Music, which are my 2 home-based labels. I've been asked by Philip Jung, who is one of the GetPhysical boss, let's say it like that. I've been asked to create a compilation for GetPhysical. And a compilation is, for me, on the highest point of what you can do with music. It's not only about my artistic path. It's about like my surroundings. And Philippe Jung asked me if I could curate the next Berlin GetPhysical compilation, which is a big honor because I'm not German. In general, the competition is so high, the level of production is so high. So it's easy to think you're never going to make it. It's more than just producing music. It's about like being consistent over the years, like producing on a regular basis, releasing on a regular basis. So you can hope that someday you're going to release on your dream labels. So it's a lot more than just music. And when Philip asked me that, I've seen all the steps done to get somewhere. And again, I felt really sensitive about it, really happy about it.
That's awesome.
It's gonna be a very special one because it includes the young generation. I mean, some people from the young generation,
All right.
and some outsiders as well.
Cool.
Also, there's a lot of talented women in there.
Nice. Anything else for the next year to come?
There's also, I'm working hard right now on Golden Karma. I mean, it's the first time I talk about it. So, I mean, outside of my private circle and professional circle, Golden Karma now is a network of artists and musicians present in over 6-7 countries worldwide.
Sounds very interesting. I think, we're already very curious and, looking forward to the projects that are coming from you. One last thing on our agenda for this podcast is my game that I play with each and every producer or DJ that I interview. And it's called Himmel oder Hölle. I don't know if you've ever heard about it. I don't think it makes sense to translate it.
Heaven or Hell.
Heaven or Hell. It's a little paper game that I used to play as a little kid, and then you move a paper and you have to decide very quickly in between options.
Yes.
Have you played it as a child? Do you know what it is?
We played similar, but not like that. Yeah.
So I would really like to play it with you and ask you some questions that you have to answer quick.
Sure.
Are you in?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
Himmel oder Hölle?
Vinyl or CDJ?
Vinyl.
Universal Audio or Focusrite?
Focusrite.
An EP with Mariah Carey or a naked photo shoot of yourself?
I like both. I like both. I have to choose.
Yeah.
A naked EP with Mariah Carey.
SoundCloud or Spotify?
Spotify.
Vocals or instrumental?
Instrumental.
Never ever singing again in your life, or being under contract to sing for Justin Bieber until the end of your life?
Justin Bieber.
Oh, wow. Most favorite club in Berlin?
Katermukke and Sisyphus. Equally.
All right. Playing gigs or creating and mixing music?
Creating and making music.
Beatport or Bandcamp?
Bandcamp.
Last question for today. Brussels or Berlin?
Yeah, Berlin is where my heart is.
Really? Even though
no,
Brussels
yes.
is your home?
No, yes. It's hard to say, but I think no, yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy, huh? Yes. After all those years.
Berlin it is. Yeah.
Yeah, Berlin it is since 8 years and a lot more to come.
I'm really looking forward to it. And Max, I would like to say that this is the end of this podcast. And I'm super happy that the two of us had the chance to talk. And I feel very grateful for these moments. So I am super curious. And I think also the audience is super curious for what is going to come within the next year. And yes, keep your vibe and let's keep in touch.
Let's keep the vibe alive. Thanks a lot for the invitation.
Thank you.
And have a good one.
You too.
And remember, kids, stay safe.
And Happy New Year.
And Merry Christmas.